Hi guys, Dan here from Your Guitar Academy and welcome back to this 30-day beginners challenge. And what we're going to do today is 3 big major chords. Okay, so these are where you're getting into those classic major chord shapes that everyone seems to know, and now you're going to learn them. Okay, so we're going to be doing the A major chord, the D major chord, and the E major chord. We're going to be putting all 3 of those together in this lesson. So pick up the guitar and let's get started. So if you're new to this course and you've just come through to this on YouTube, then please remember that you can head on over to the website and you'll find full write-ups for every lesson, all of the tab, all of the chord boxes, the fretboards, everything you need to absolutely smash and master every single lesson. As well as that, please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It massively helps us continue to provide you these free courses, and leave us a comment. If you've got questions, we will get back to you. So leave us a comment under the video and we'll speak to you there. Okay then guys, so let's get straight down to this, shall we? The major chords. So up to now, we've got 3 chord shapes. We've got the E minor, C major 7, and this really cool little B7 that we've been practicing with our song. So I hope that's going well. By the way, you're still practicing that every day. And now we're going to bring in these 3 chords: A major, D major, and E major. And again, you've noticed I've switched to the electric guitar, but you can do this on electric, acoustic, it really doesn't matter, okay? So let's do one at a time. We're going to start with the E major chord because it's going to be the easiest, because we're already halfway there with the E minor chord. So the fundamental difference in terms of sound between minor and major can be nicely illustrated here. If I play my E minor chord, that's what it sounds like. We've got that kind of dark, that melancholy kind of sound, you know, whatever you hear there. If I take my first finger and add onto the G string 1st fret, okay, right there, but whilst keeping the E minor chord on, I've got an E major chord, okay? All right, so that is the difference. Have a listen to minor and then major. It's 1 note difference and it makes all the difference, okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about the theory of that later on, but you can hear the difference there, okay? And it's so easy to create that major chord because we know the minor chord already. We just simply add that 1st finger. Now, very often, you know, where this kind of gets muddled up is that potentially this like little chubby bit here underneath the 3rd finger, sorry, is blocking off the G string. So you might hear that kind of sound. So you just got to, again, use those principles. Get that thumb at the back of the neck, not like this, but like this. Roll the guitar around. So you've got nice big, your wrist is coming all the way around. You've got big loops with the fingers, and your 1st finger is there to try and play that, okay? Again, just spend time with it. Make sure you can try and get all 6 strings. Okay. The other thing to bear in mind here is that, you know, this is officially the hardest place on the fretboard to push down. Okay. So the higher up the fretboard you get, the easier it becomes to push down because the strings get looser and looser. But here, this is its tightest point because you've got the nut, this kind of little bony bit here from the guitar, which is really as close as you can get to the hardest the strings feel. So there is without a doubt the hardest place to push down on the neck, okay? And that's why we developed those big calluses in the early days, because we're dealing a lot with the first 3 frets. So pushing that one down can feel quite hard work, but stick with it and you will develop that strength in that finger, okay? So apply all the usual things to that. Make sure that you are pushing down with the tip of the finger and work towards that E major sound, okay? Now, let's look at A major, because A major is one of those ones where you can play it in so many different ways. You'll see people play like this, like this, like this. You'll see people play it like this. I'm trying to think of various ways. Like that's a very common way. So what I want to do is give you the official way and then maybe 1 or 2 alternatives, and you can choose which way you feel is easiest, okay? Now, the reason I wanted to do it from E major is because I'm going to show you one way of playing this which you might really, really like. Certainly an easier way of doing it potentially. So what I want you to do is I want you to take the E major chord that we've just done. I want you to take these two fingers away and I want you to slide your first finger up. Okay? So your first finger is now on the G string, 2nd fret. And then what I want you to do is kind of contort your fingers. This is where it gets a bit funky, okay? We're going to get your 2nd finger onto the same fret, but on the D string, okay? And your 3rd finger onto the same fret, but on the B string. So you've got that. So all 3 fingers are squeezed into that same fret, okay? You've got D string, G string, B string, okay? That's an A major chord. Those notes together, plus the low A string and the high E string, is an A major chord. And it really doesn't matter if you hit the low E string as well when you're strumming it, but ideally it starts from that A string note, okay? So that's a nice change. You'll see people do that a lot. So, you know, it's a nice way to change the chord. So that's one option for playing that chord, okay? It's a very fiddly chord, and one of the most common things is that the high E string will be blocked off because that won't quite have been wrapped around enough. And also, you know, the bigger your hands are, the harder it is to squeeze it all into one fret, okay? So another option might be to just straighten it up a little bit. Now, I find this personally harder than that. So 1, 2, 3. All in the same fret, rather than, so it's a slightly different way around. So you've got 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger. It's an option. Okay, I find that harder personally. And as an option for you guys who have just got really big hands, you know, I've got quite skinny little hands, just the way I was born. But I would say 1st finger, like that, is also another totally valid option. Just literally just popping your 1st finger, flattening it against the 2nd fret on each of those strings, and just knowing that that high E string will just kind of be blocked off, and that's okay, okay? That's one way of doing it as well. So you've got 3 options, I'd say there. You've got that way, that way, that way, as valid options. I mean, if you can find more, be my guest. At the end of the day, it's whatever feels comfortable for you and what's playable for you. But they're 3 that I see, you know, quite a lot, basically. So choose one of those and stick with it, essentially, okay? So just take a break, take those fingers off. Let's do the D chord, and then you've got, this will go straight into your guitar gym, okay? So the D chord looks like this. Classic chord, it's the big chord. It's been used for so many, I mean, it's just a massive chord. It just sounds great. A little bit fiddly to play initially, but once you've got it, it's a really familiar feeling chord, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these 2 fingers, so your 1st finger on the G string, 2nd fret, and your 2nd finger on the E string, 2nd fret. And then we're going to bring in that 3rd finger, okay? And that 3rd finger goes on the 3rd fret of the B string. So you've got 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. So the obvious mistake that happens with most beginner guitarists, don't beat yourself up if this is happening with you, it really does happen almost all the time, is that this 3rd finger will be flattening against the high E string and blocking it off. So typically we'll get a nice open D string, then we'll get the 1st finger doing the job, then we'll get the 3rd finger doing a job, because they kind of go hand in hand, but this one here, this high one, often won't get heard, so you'll get a kind of that kind of sound. And what we've got to do there is we've got to really rotate that those fingers, remember, to try and get that high note, okay, which is an important note within that chord, and I'll talk more about that in another lesson, but that's what we want to try and achieve. And it's always a good idea to try and just kind of play each string one by one, try and get there, okay? Another thing some players might like to do at this point is you can wrap the wrist around a little bit more if you feel more comfortable with that. Okay, that's a possibility. This is better technique, you know, having that thumb at the back of the neck, getting used to that full stop. But at the same time, there's no getting around the facts that some players just, if you've got bigger hands again, you might prefer wrapping that thumb around a bit. You might just find just that little adjustment from there to there actually gives you the opportunity to get that chord ringing out nice and clearly, okay? So the idea here is that it's all about trial and error, micro adjustments to try and get it right. That's why this at the moment falls under the category of that guitar gym, okay? These three chords, the E major, the A major, and the D major, can go right into your guitar gym practice, okay? So at the beginning, when you do your warm-ups and you do your scales, okay, I want you to add this. So your guitar gym is getting a little bit bigger now, okay, but it's really, really worth doing. Really extend it so that you're just working through those chords, just trying to change between them, getting them as clear sounding as you can. And remember that over on the website, you can see the chord boxes, as we've looked into already on this course, the chord boxes for each of these chords, just to remind you what open strings you should play, but also remember that's not a big deal at this point, okay? So in theory, the D should start from the D string, the A should start from the A string, and the E should start from the E string. But don't worry too much about that. If you end up doing a little bit of strumming just to test them, and you end up hitting the low E string, honestly, don't worry about that. We can refine that later on, okay? So here's your task. Add these three chords to your guitar gym workout. Make sure you practice them today. You're now gonna have an opportunity to practice that every single day. Every time you pick up the guitar, just move between those three chord shapes. Okay guys, so thank you so much for watching this video. That's it for today. Please do head on over to the next lesson when you're ready, which you can find here, or you can start from the beginning of the playlist right here on YouTube over here. Also, if you want to leave us a comment, we do our best to answer any questions that you might have, and pop us a like and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Every little helps. Thank you so much guys. Speak to you later.